New patch, baby. Smite. 7.3 Grim Omens. Let's hope the patch isn't as grim as the title. You can see up here there's a big old character with a whole bunch of characters. That's Hu Yi. It's his tier 5 skin. He doesn't have a bow. He shoots out a little scorch spitter. And these other like little guys are cute. It's a skin. We're not going to talk about it. Let's move on. Ranked. 7.3 comes the new split. Following our new approach for Ranked in Season 7, we're adjusting players' variance rating and not the direct MMR. Now, I'll make a video separate from this if you guys are still not understanding, but there are two numbers, essentially, with respects to when we talk about Ranked. We're talking about MMR, your matchmaking rating, and your variance percentage. And the quick and dirty is that your MMR won't change, and your variance will. For players below 37%, 5% is where you're at if you play every day. You're going to be reset to 37%, which is a weird number. Anyway, the higher your variance is, the more points you will gain or lose for each win or loss. The lower your variance, the less points you will gain or lose for each win or loss. So the more you play, the less you will earn. So if you are 1,500 and you play all day every day and you win a game, you're going to like 1,503, 1,504, 1,505, right? But if you are 1,500 and you never play, you're going to like 1,530, 1,560. Now you're sitting at 5%. They'll reset your variance to, a third, 37%. Well, not a third, it's 33, whatever. 37% variance. I wonder how they picked that number. That's an interesting number. More mathy than I can get into. You will start gaining more points than you had in the previous days. So if you want to, get out of whatever rank you're in, this is where you play your best characters at the beginning of the split. Like, put up or shut up, and frankly, good luck. Let's get into balance. Blink Rune. I always like to see what the devs say after the fact. So they increased the cooldown, 120, 140, cool. And they decreased the range 55 to 45. This is a big deal. And the devs say, Blink creates moments where players can catch each other out of position quickly. It can close the gaps for an aggressive play or serve as a last-minute escape with enough skilled jukes, 3 seconds out of combat. Its strength, cooldown, and distance covered allow it to be a constant threat that is difficult to counter. Adjusting these aspects should make the relic healthier as a whole while still making it strong. I like this. This is a good change. Junglers will complain about it and say, oh, I roll. But shut the fuck up. I'm not here for that one. Mace comes here. Decreased cost from 700 to 650. Tier 2 and 3 are the same. This is a change because junglers start Mace, so they want you to be able to buy something. Mace is the go-to for many junglers who rely on the extra power to keep up in clear speed. However, difficult choice arises if you need Hog, because this start requires junglers to get potions. The adjustment allows the start to be possible, but also give an extra potion. Sure. Awesome. I had said that there is an interesting situation arising where just having Hand of the Gods in the store is good enough, and it deters the invade. No longer the case, because players are going out and scouting, and if they see you without Hand of the Gods, you will get Hercules invaded. Trust me, shout out to Optimal Sound. He did it in my game yesterday. Fuck you, dude. But seriously, this allows you to actually, I think the first couple of weeks or months of Season 7, it was just a threat of Hog. Now people are more comfortable with the amount of time in the beginning of the game. They're scouting you out, they're pressing tab, they're seeing that you don't have Hog, and they're falcon kicking your face in. Now, purchasing Hog is going to be more of a concern, whether it's now or later, and this is a nice change. This is a preemptive change as well. People love to bash the developers, and now that I'm not on their team, maybe I would. But seriously, this is a smart move. It is hard to predict the future in a MOBA, and frankly, I don't recommend it to the design teams that are there to balance and keep the game living. But this is one of those times where I think they did so correctly. They're not outright looking into the future. Like I said, top level play already features this sequence. And so as we see it trickle down, we will see this change become more and more relevant. Shoes of the Magi, Lifesteal, and Mana. Give it something. Give me a reason to buy it, I suppose. Lifesteal and mana talk to me in sustain ways. So I guess you buy CDR boots for the mid and the late game, and you buy purple boots for the laning phase. Season 7 penetration changes left these shoes in a strange spot. More power was added, but adding any more power to make up for the penetration loss would increase mage damage to non-god targets to a dangerous level, meaning clear would be too efficient. We tried to find a middle ground, but they ended up feeling lackluster compared to shoot to focus. Rather than focusing on these as damage boots, we're adding sustain elements to give them their own niche. Sure. Cool. So blue boots are still the better boots to buy, but your purple boots can give you some sustain, I suppose. There are some characters that I just don't care about cooldown at all. And, you know, go Freya. Cool, I guess. This is the problem. I can see this being an issue where it's just like tough to figure out what to do with these boots. Do I love this change? No. I don't think the dev team loves this change either, frankly. It just is what it is. Transcendence no longer provides 10% CDR, provides 10% CDR when fully evolved. This is good. I think Transcendence is a fun and viable item in the jungle, and I like it in the third slot. Both as a player, that's when I have extra gold, and that's when I want to be able to use my power. And as an opponent, I think getting Transcendence too early, playing against that, sometimes you're just swinging too hard on me. So putting Transcendence in that third slot, I think, is good for balance and good for me. I want to be powerful. However, with the 10% CDR, we've seen more and more players go and put Transcendence second boots into Transcendence, and I think that becomes a little bit too early game focused. So taking the 10% CDR off immediately and pushing it after it's completed, I think is probably a little bit better of a balance point, of a power spike. That's the term I'm looking for. And so I like this change. Transcendence is core to a variety of builds. We like gods having an option to rush into solid power and mana regen. CDR push it over the edge. We're moving the CDR to the fully evolved form. Yes, awesome. Thumbs up. Sweet. Cool. Great. Kukulkan. Fuck this character. Honestly, fuck this character for so many reasons outside of this character being this very, very good. Now, this character is good. He's got a lot of power. The passive makes him even more powerful. Blah, 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 blah. Boo boots are in vogue, and so he's going to be in vogue. My fatigue. I'm just so tired of getting spit at and cycled and just fucking... I banned this character because I don't want to see him. I don't ban this character because he's overpowered and going to win the game. I ban this character because I'm fucking tired of him. Kukulkan has really stormed into play. First of all, whoever wrote this, fuck you, clumsy. No, I'm just kidding. Stormed into play, becoming a serious top-level pick, and succeeding across the game. The changes to his base stats and Whirlwind helped him become more impactful, and after a partial revert on Whirlwind, this ability is in a solid spot. Rather than fully reverting him, we are targeting other aspects like his passive that contributes heavily to his damage output and his ultimate CDR, which enables objective secure. The passive goes from 5% to 4%, thumbs up, and the cooldown goes from 70 to 90%. You'll love to see it. Spirit of the Nine Winds is one of these ultimates that I say all the time. You don't need to land it all the time. This doesn't need to be a 100% accuracy ultimate. You can toss it out and use the zone and you like this. You should not always be waiting for the perfect scenario unless you have the Athena, unless you have the Ymir, because if you do, you will waste a lot of these ults simply by not casting it. 140 seconds will go by and you will cast once instead of twice. 90 seconds now makes you think about using this ultimate a little bit more, makes you want to land it all the time a little bit more. This is a good change as well. Kukulkan will still probably be in all of your games, but here's the change that Nemesis needs. I will say this every time we see Nemesis in a patch until we actually get this change. Nemesis needs the Zeus treatment. Zeus is frustrating because he pushes a button and you take damage, right? detonate, and you die. So you have to hard read with your Aegis, right? 1, 2, 3, and you look at Zeus and you go, Aegis, and he goes, fuck, right? But if you don't do that perfectly, you die. And so high-res changed that. Now it's right? There's like a second after the so you can like get your 3 charges, look at Zeus, and then you see the and then you Aegis, and you don't have to hard read it anymore. It's built into the game. That's the change that Nemesis needs. Nemesis used to strip 50% protections and health from you. Then it got nerfed to 40. Then it got nerfed to 35. Now it's 30, I believe, all the way down to. Because Nemesis does the same thing. Divine Judgment. You're like, ugh. And you get smoked. Well, if she went, put like a little scale above your head, and then killed you, that'd be effective. That'd be fine. That'd be the solution we need. But unfortunately, that sort of change requires more than just designers and developers. You need animation, you need effects, you need audio, and all of a sudden this becomes a multi-tiered response, and there's weeks, if not months of work, and so we get 2 seconds shaved off of Slice and Dice, which is ineffective. This is not the change she needs. We were perhaps too reserved in trying to, yeah. So given Nemesis history, where single balance adjustments could really tip the scales, sure, I don't think this makes Nemesis interesting at all. This doesn't touch Nemesis where she needs to be touched. Nemesis is a tank killer. She needs to be a tank killer. I don't think this change does anything to her, and I don't like this change. This is a shit. What can we actually do? I guess we'll knock 2D seconds off of the cooldown, but I think this is a bad change. This is a change for change's sake, and I don't like it. Odin. Raven Shout, Gungnir's Might, Ring of Spears. Raven Shout goes down from 60% scaling to 50. Gungnir's Might, same thing. Ring of Spears increased. Let's see what the devs have to say for themselves. A familiar sight in our new bonus balance format. Odin. His rework gave him significantly more flexibility and strength, and the strength has stayed through multiple adjustments. Raven Shout's shield makes him difficult to fight against and contributes heavy burst when used in the Bird Bomb. We are toning this in Gungnir's Might scaling by 10%, taking some of the edge off these abilities. Ring of Spears is more wildly applicable and is now on the level of other ultimate abilities. Cooldown of 90 seconds now feels right. Thumbs up. Old Odin Ring needed to be on a dummy short cooldown. New Odin Ring doesn't. There's punishment, still escaping the ring, etc. So this is a good change here. And yeah, homie does too much damage. Lower that shit. Easy peasy. Is this enough? We'll see. I don't know if it's enough, but this is the direction. You know, they're not dumb. Good stuff, buddies. Vamana. The god has seen colossal growth. Jesus. Whoever's writing these, just having too much pun. In win rate metrics, in his recent change, Vamana's buff gave him too much immediate speed, allowing him to quickly outpace enemies off a few hits. 3% movement speed per stack, stacked up 5 times, instead of 5% movement speed, stacked up 3 times. This is cool. I like this. So Vamana now, if he gets on you, will never fall off of you. He will stick to you like glue. Now that conversation, whether that conversation needs to be had, is up in the air. But we are here, and so let's discuss at our destination. 5% movement speed and 3 stacks. You know, he gets up on you, he ults, he hits you once or twice, and you're fucked. Right? Now, you can kind of juke a little bit. He can hit you once, and you get out of the way, and he's a little speedy, and then it maybe gets you a second time, and he's a little speedy, but he's really got to, if he hits you 5 times, you're going to die anyway, dude. So, I like this. Getting hit once or twice and being stuck to is... You get hit once or twice in Smite. Getting hit 4 or 5 times, 3, 4, 5 times, you should be punished for that. And so I think this is in a nice spot here for Vamana. This is a good look. Again, I don't necessarily love this change in general, the Colossal Fury change to give him this movement speed on stacks. But if it's going to be there, this is a much better way to execute it. So, thumbs up. Mage's Blessing. Mage's Blessing at the top level often sucked. We gave it 10 more power. Cool. I really like Mage's Blessing. I think 10% CDR is really, really clean. Players like to forego it. We saw at the end of the last season where it was the Boots 2 rush. We'll see. We'll see what the pros are building in the Pro League. But Mage's Blessing, I think, is an average item that, 10 power, cool. Thumbs up. Enchanted Ring had an odd power curve. When purchased, it often resulted in a large amount of unspent gold. We are making its cost amount, okay. So from 11 to 1,300, and the power goes up because of it. This is a weird thing. So tier 2 was too inexpensive, and it resulted in a large amount of unspent gold. Is this a problem? I don't know if this is a problem per se. I don't know if I care. Like, okay, if you're going to increase the cost, this is what you should change. These numbers are congruent, and so I'm fine. However, I what an odd change. This is one of those changes that are a result of an hour-long conversation, and you're 20 bullet points deep, and so this is either really big brain or really small brain. We see these types of changes fair amount, so I don't get it, but I wasn't, I'm not part of the conversation, so I don't know how they got here. Devos Gauntlets, Bloodforge is better. Increased base physical lifesteal from 10 to 15%. Cool. Devo's gloves have always been about a curve, and I discussed this sort of like a Cold War, right? Where Devo's gloves are the go-to. Bloodforge is better, but the reason you buy Devourer's Gauntlets is because your opponent's going to buy Devourer's Gauntlets, and they'll be curving at a similar rate to you. Whereas if you buy Bloodforge, you're like broke. They're curving, and then all of a sudden, here you have it. But for this time, you're getting smoked because of they're just more powerful than you. So this might make the Devourer's Gauntlets a little bit more attractive and leave Bloodforge and Transcendence to be the strong immediate power spike. Cool. Aphrodite. Kiss. Reduced cooldown from 1612 to 1412. Lovebirds now has an additional hit. What? Now, for the 30 of you that watch my stream, know that Aphrodite is a fantastic mid lane mage in her own right, ignoring the heal perspective. I said this when I was commentating the SPL. I said, we need more Aphrodite love. No pun intended. Now I'm the guy writing the patch notes. I really mean that. Aphrodite as a mage is good. When you fight in those fire giant and those jungle corridors, the birds coming all the way down, birds does big damage. Now it just does more. This isn't a shift. They didn't give her an additional hit and take away a tick. Because the idea that like when you get hit by an ability, you should immediately get hit. I actually disagree with that. Lovebirds feels soft. There is no visceral so I don't mind the dot coming after the fact. But now that it has an application tick, it just does more damage. And getting your kiss cooldown at level 1 because you're leveling your birds first, and all the way to level 8, your kiss is on level 1, blah blah blah, and even you're leveling back off second. This is a big deal. This is the ability you max third, if not last, and so taking 2 seconds off rank 1 is actually a really big deal. So she's already playable in the mid lane as a mage, hell style, and people don't get that. Now, I think you will absolutely see her in your mid lane. I don't know if you got to get used to banning her, but you got to get used to playing her and playing against her for sure. Cerberus. This is a weird face. Increased HP from 86 to 95. Cool. Guan Yu. Removed camera lock. Cool. Don't care. Merlin, decreased power scaling from 25 to 20% and 20 to 15%. Yeah, look, dude, Merlin does a ton of damage. It's kind of all he does. So he's got to do a ton of damage. But you still have to limit that somehow. Bing, bang, boom. Merlin here. Master of Magic has been felt by many a player, giving validity to its claim of being a master wizard. Good thing this isn't a Grand Wizard. His fire stance in particular can melt enemies who are caught out. Reduction in Dragonfire, sure. Lower the damage Merlin does. Cool. Awesome. New law. Clay soldiers. Increased movement speed from 365 all the way up to 425, starting at 365 though. And decreased cooldown from 18 to 16. I love this change. I love this change. So, first of all, your clay soldiers are like, they're getting faster throughout the game, which is a good thing. They buy boots and wing blade and shield of regrowth. Good for them. They're moving faster as we all move faster. That's very, very cool. Decreased cooldown from 18 to 16. Also cool. This is, I think, so this is interesting. Because I saw bits and pieces of the patch notes show, and AJ was kind of talking about quality of life and how Warrior's Will, removing the camera lock ability, is a true quality of life change. I think a lot of people would say, this is a quality of life change. Make my minions move faster. Lower my cooldown so I can hit my combo more often. This is a this increases Nua's quality of life by making her stronger. So you get to do the thing more often and better, the movement speed, right? There's a lot of times where average Nua players, honestly, just non-Nua specialists, because Nua's kind of a specialist character, hit the clay soldiers, and they just kind of like dick around. They like sit down and play Magic, right? Like they don't do anything. Now they'll be faster, and you get to do the thing more often. So this is a good look. Sure, cool, like it. This is a nice change. Olorun. Looks like a buff. Olorun's crits go from 50% to 60%. Focused Light, the like Hadouken, goes from up 10 damage. And Consecration goes up 10% slow. Interesting. These are very slight touches. Touch of Fate. So Olorun passive is affected by Spectral Armor. And everybody's talking about Spectral Armor. So this probably needs to get a little bit of a buff in order to combat. This is sure. Very slight nudges here. Perhaps this one more so than this one. 20% and 30% is larger than I'm making it out to be. But slight nudges in the positive direction for Olorun. He's very strong when played well, but we saw other characters kind of picked up above him. And especially with Critical Strike being less popular because of the Spectral Armor change, people are going to look toward traditional hunters to play Chinsai. So now with Olorun here, I like these changes. I think Olorun is fun to watch at a pro level, and these changes should make him a little bit more applicable at that level. Persephone. Okay. This character is very, very strong, but she's weird. So she's getting a sweeping list of changes to allow her players to better show their skill with Harvest while reducing her ultimate ability's effectiveness when blindly thrown in the enemy team. So, Titan Forge uses the term clunk, mechanical clunk, and I disagree. I don't think Persephone is clunky. I think Persephone is cumbersome. Now, clunky means, when I think clunky, I think like PUBG. You know, you're like almost glitchy, like buggy, but you work with it. Mechanical clunk here, let's say cumbersome, because I don't think there's anything clunky about her. I think she's elegantly designed, to be honest with you, but she's rather cumbersome in the sense that she doesn't like fire and move and feel smooth, right? Lack of smoothness is usually called clunk, but I'm going to stick to my cucumber comment here, and I'll show you why. Harvest. Decreased pre-fire time from 0.2 to 0.1. And decreased the minimum distance between the plants from 5 to 2.5. So I like part 2. I don't particularly like part 1. Okay, I've talked myself into it. I like both parts of this. So one of the things that what makes Persephone cumbersome in my eyes is that she owns the lane or whatever she chooses to own, right? Okay, plant. I have my plants down, and they're going to do the thing, and then I get jumped on, and I can dance away, and they all explode. Or I get jumped on, and I can shoot them down, and they explode, right? However, if I get jumped on and I'm not set up, Well, that's my fault because I'm not playing the character right. But now at least I have a way out. I can plant, and then get the fuck out. And maybe there's a way to like counterpunch. I think this takes away from knowing the intricacies of Persephone specifically because you always have to be ready. ABP, always be planting, you know? I like that mentality. And if you get jumped on with no plants, that's a thumbs up to your opponent for understanding how Persephone works and seeing you plantless is a good thing for them. And also getting punished for playing the character incorrectly, sure. But you do want to be able to like do something when you get jumped on. So I like this change. Just drop a bunch of plants and make them explode, right? Minimum distance, yeah, sure. Opwash can do it. Why can't Persephone? No issue here. Sprout. Decrease the time the harvest plant takes to evolve into a sprout from 4 to 2.5 seconds. So this is to lower the amount of cumbersomeness, to decrease how cumbersome this ability feels when moving from place to place. Like I said, Persephone is Lord of the Lane. She wants to sit in lane, make her Plants vs. Zombies, and then like, fuck you, right? And you've got to plan in advance because they take so long. And that's why when you're rotating from point A to point B, and you get there, and you put down some plants, and you got to wait 4 seconds, 2.5 will allow her to rotate from point A to point B, put down the plant, and do the thing. I don't mind this change either. I don't love this change. I think 4 to maybe 3 seconds would be nice. But I understand the mentality. Allows her to be not mobile, but movable, right? Not clunky, but cumbersome. Persephone in general. And this change is not to make her mobile. You still need to wait 2.5 seconds. You still need to take 0.1 seconds to plant. But she is movable now, where used to be Tachanka, Bastion, just stationary in your lane. And if you rotate, all you can do is really ult, and then you use the time players are stuck in the ult to set up a garden, and then you blow them up, right? Now you can kind of like rotate, put a couple of plants down, and then engage in the same like breath. Still takes a moment. Still is some punishment for being movable, but you are movable. Flower, I absolutely hate this. So, decreased time the base harvest plant takes to evolve into a flower. You used to have 24 seconds for it to go from to guy that chases you around. Now it's only 16. And again, the idea from going from mobile to movable, the counter gank rotation to duo lane, this won't apply to, but the like rotation to Gold Fury or rotation to solo lane, where you like show up, you shoot, and everybody's like, oh, fuck. And then you dance, and then you wait for the minion wave, and then you jump back in. That second scenario, Flower will be relevant, and it wasn't before, right? And in that sense, the change has done what it set out to do. Make her movable, not mobile, but movable. 16 seconds might be too much. I would have rather see 20 or 18 right off the bat, because of how oppressive this character already is. And this is also the frustration, the frustration point of this character. Nobody gets that mad when you get jumped on, when you walk into the world and she dances away and you get blown up on. Some people get mad about the ult, and I argue they shouldn't. This is what people get mad about. When you're under your tower, the plant bites you, follows you, gets it done, right? That's what this is obnoxious for. And so with that in mind, seeing this change and this change is a lot. So not only does it only take 16 seconds instead of 24 seconds to evolve, that's an entire third of the time just taken off, but also they go from 440 movement speed to 600, which means you are not outrunning this guy. He's like, Eah! Now it lowers the chase time from 3 to 2.2 in order to like make that a little bit more understandable. However, this is ridiculous. I don't like this. I think this should have been a larger amount of time, and this is just, I don't know. This is rough. When you play against Persephone, this is what pisses you off, and this is what's going to piss players off. I think this is an air ball. This is as big of a miss as you could have in the balance section. I like this. I like this. I understand this. I get what you're going for, but this is just wrong. And then Grasp of Death. I really like this. This is very, very cool. So this is the ultimate. It decreases the speed of which you get tethered by 50%. So you're not just going to be like, oh shit. And there is counterplay to Persephone ult. It's basic attack. Persephone lowered your basic attack speed by 30%. That's, glass half full, glass half empty, right? That's protection against what she's doing to you, right? If I have an ability to turn you into a frog and you have a button that turns you out of a frog, well then, what the fuck? If I have an ability that turns you into a frog, you need to not be able to unfrog for 3 seconds. That's how, so my ability is actually relevant, right? Grasp of Death would have been irrelevant if you could just slam on it. Except for the fact that she's very strong, and that's the way that you get out of it. So, instead of looking at it as protection, it's just kind of taking away the counterplay. And so 15% attack speed reduction, I think, is the protection. Protects her from just having a non-ultimate, but it's also, you actually can utilize your counterplay. So, I like the change to Grasp of Death a lot. Persephone overall, I don't think needed to be buffed. This is a change to make her not mobile, but movable. A lot of these changes, so I understand why they made these changes, but I think Flower is going to need to see a reversion almost immediately. This is going to be obscenely difficult and annoying to deal with. So, Sobek. That's a joke for 5 people and 5 people only. Shoutouts to the casters. Sobek previously bullied in solo lane with Guardian's Blessing, making it difficult to truly buff him as a support. Now, Guardian's Blessing is dual lane only, so let's lock the crock. Base stats, increased HP per level, 86 to 95. Fuck Sobek. Sickening Strike, increased healing per hit from 20 up to 60 to 30 up to 70. Fuck Sobek. Sobek is going to be a staple of the solo lane. He's already just good enough. These changes will make him a staple of the solo lane. I don't know if he'll be overpowered, but he certainly is powered. Soul. Unstable Manifestation. That's her passive. She loses heat less fast, slower. Once heat starts its decay. Decay speed reduced by 25%. Radiance. The ability no longer causes minion hit reaction. Supernova. The time between shots decreased from 0.24 to 0.18. And increased the heat gain from 10 to 40. You'll love to see it, baby. I've got a big beef with magical ADCs and the terminology they're in. First of all, there is no such thing as ADC in Smite. Attack damage carry is a League of Legends term, and AD means attack damage. We don't have it. We have basic attack damage. You can call magical hunters. Come in 4 shapes and sizes. 3 if you ask me, but 4 because everybody wants to include Freya. You've got Olorun, who's numero uno. Doesn't have to do anything to be a hunter. He's got attack speed stim, sure, and he's got his carpet, sure, but he crits, he basic attacks. If all of your shit's on cooldown, you can duel a hunter. Soul is right beneath that, in that she's got to ramp up and get there, but once she hits the heat and the unstable manifestation, you can't fucking box her because she's a hunter now. Then you've got Kronos, who has to wait for Accelerate to be in the right spot, and he's kind of a hunter when that's off cooldown. And then Freya, again, I don't count her. She's an assassin, but because she's got extended basic attacks, everybody wants to call her a hunter, so there you go. So, the fact that you've got these mages that are magical carries but don't feel that way, magical basic attack carries but don't feel that way, kind of sucks. And Soul is so close to being Olorun World, where she's just always a hunter. Now, I love this idea. Once she gets hot, it'll take longer for her to lose the mood, so to speak, which is awesome, because once you get there, if you take a second or two to fall back the way a good hunter should, you lose all your heat and you've got to start again, and that becomes problematic. Now you can actually position and dance in the team fight and still maintain being a hunter, which is what you need to do, because if Soul is being picked to replace your hunter and you can't fill the role, that becomes an issue. Radiance, I don't care about this. I'm sure it helps clear, but like, who cares? Supernova, though, this is a big deal. Time between shots decreased. Awesome. I know I suck at Soul Alt. I think everybody kind of sucks at Soul Alt, unless you're Barracuda and Zeros. But most people suck with Soul Alt. This will help. But this is bigger. 10 to 40. Now you get a whole bunch of heat just by ulting. So you can probably go from like, boom, I'm chilling, hunter mode. And then, like, that is what she needs. This, For as much as I kind of trashed these Persephone changes, like, I think Flower is really like an example of I don't get it. I think this is a perfect example of holy shit. I have designed this game for years and you guys better respect. Like, this is such a great job by the design team to understand Soul, what she's supposed to do, amplify her identity without making her overpowered, punish Soul heavily for being out of combat. We are slowing the decay down to give more wiggle room. That's a Tom word. In ability activation and picking fights. Radiance will no longer push minions back. Clear tool, sure. Supernova deploys more quickly. Large bursts of heat, impactful both in its immediate effect and giving a second way to build heat. Soul's really heating things up. I hope we see Soul played. I think she's viable. I think this is very, very, very good. I love this. Xing Tian. Xing Tian's OP. Project Olympus ironed out bugs, and now he's OP. He's aggro and has too much crowd control. So we're going to decrease. He brings aggression and too much crowd control, so we're going to decrease the damage on his jump. Okay. And the late game control of Hook Slam. Sure. Hook Slam goes from 1 to 2 seconds to 1 to 1.4 seconds. Leveling Hook Slam first was actually kind of cheeky. This was really fun. So, interesting change around here. Yeah, we love to see it. We love to see it. This is a good change. Sky Cutting Axe, 65, 145 to 60 to 140. Don't forget this ability hits twice, so it's a decrease of 10 damage, not 5 damage. This is screaming help. We don't know where to change Xing Tian. This is a good change, but seems oddly placed. The damage on Furious Howl is where I would go, but I don't know. Interesting changes overall. I don't hate this patch. I love to see Soul and Olorun. The designers just understand that these guys, if you're going to replace a hunter, you need to replace a hunter. And so I like these changes a lot. Nuwa gets some love. Persephone is going to be annoying. Keep banning her. That's it. Kind of like this patch. Let's see what happens. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and all that shit. Put stuff in the comments that tell me what videos to make, because that's how we do. Thank you for watching. Priest. Boom, 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 boom. After.